Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for bearing with me. I do apologize for my tardiness this evening. Ran a bit late, all my fault, not traffic or anything. Road was actually a little bit clear this evening, actually. So I do apologize. I had some unannounced commitments I had to attend to. So thank you all for attending. Thank you for joining. I see we had a couple people on the waiting list today. I appreciate you guys for subscribing, staying on. Thank you very much. So today, what shall we discuss today? That's how I do things. I do things very last minute, right? Because it's all up here and in here. Um, I had a great interview a couple mornings ago with CNC3 Morning Brew. Actually, I've done a number of interviews with them over the years, of course, for a number of topics, but this was the first one I actually felt like I said almost everything that I wanted to say. So, what I think I'll do this evening, I'll recap some of those points. What we're doing, just to let you guys know, of course, we're going to have our regular virtual live meetings here on the YouTube. I've not done the live Facebook because I need to get another device. If I attach the Facebook Live now, I won't be able to take any calls or messages from you guys. So you guys are welcome to call in, message 462-8870, and I'll attend to all your questions and comments or so as we move through the broadcast. So we'll do the YouTube Live and we'll put it forward on the social media through the Facebook platform at least, and advertise the video so people will have a chance to see it and hear a little bit more about what we are about and what we intend to do. I had a great meeting, a great interview the other morning with TNC with JW Blaze, and the first question he asked actually was, and of course the video is on our Facebook for you to view. One of the first questions he asked was, "What is my feeling on the ground? What kind of response am I getting from the electorate in terms of their feeling towards the election itself, the parties contesting, and so forth?" And my only view so far has been with that I can think reasonable to iterate is some young people in a certain area. I wouldn't say which area. Next thing you know, the large parties go after them. But they are custom voting one or the other large parties, and in fact, they some of them are involved in getting people together for the election to go vote and all this stuff. I don't know what to call them really. I don't have a term for them. But needless to say, they are custom regularly voting for one of the two large parties. And my input that I've gotten from them is that they're not interested. And that was before they knew that I was contesting or even that I indeed led the Trinidad Humanity Campaign. They said to me, the feeling on the ground there is that the guys there are not interested in voting either of the large parties. They're looking for anybody else, to which I responded, of course, the THC is anybody else in this case. And we'd appreciate if they listen to what we have to say. And if they think what we have to say is reasonable and sensible, cast their vote on someone they think will represent them on the issues and solutions, as opposed to we got something to go and get people to vote. And you know how it is going in this country, right? We're not about that here at the THC. I was able to identify a number of points to JW in that interview. But before I go into that, I want to let you guys know that starting this week, probably Thursday or Friday, you guys will start to see me walking around Valsey and St. Joseph. You should see the other candidates probably from this weekend walking around their respective electoral districts. But definitely, I will be starting in my electoral district, and I intend to visit every household. What I've done, what we've done as the party actually, we've created a flyer and a brochure, 2-page, that contains all the main points that we've been stressing that we would bring, all the commitments we would intend to bring. Call it a mini manifesto, if you will. All the commitments that we intend to bring if elected into the seat of council. And I'll go into some of those points, but I just want to let you guys know, please look out for that flyer and, don't just throw it in the garbage. At least give it a read. At least. I know a lot of people have their allegiance to one of the large parties or the other in this country, but at least give it a read and see what we say. Talk about it a little bit if you want, and you're welcome to talk about it with us and call us anytime, 24/7. Right, I make myself available now as if I was already elected, because it is my belief, although quite a number of people, some very close to me, don't share that belief. But it is my belief that if elected into this position, this is a position of serving the people, and I should be available to you 24/7. That's at least my intention. I believe I could do it. I like the idea of getting things done and helping. It's just that's where I get my I don't know what to call it, but that's where I get my enjoyment in my life. Helping others has brought me a lot of enjoyment in my life, and I've done it for a long time, and I will continue. So look out for that mini manifesto. Read the points. Get back to us. Do look at the track record, folks. Track record comes up a lot, and do look at the track record of those candidates who belong to those parties who were already elected into this position of management. Whether it be new candidates or not, they still have to respond, as you all well know, to the party that they belong to, and vote according to what that party says and wants and so forth. We've seen this, right? So it doesn't matter if it's new faces, in my opinion. I ask you to look at the track record of the entity that produce the candidates, and ask yourself if in the last 3 years to 5 years, it's been a longer, and the period before that and the period before that, what have you really seen accomplished in your community that is substantial, that has made real differences? And if you see that the differences that you've seen in your community are not that many, and what we're putting forward at the very least, totally innovative and totally different ideas, which maybe you would decide that is sensible and reasonable, and of course something that you would want in your community, then again, all I can ask is that you use your civic right to cast your vote for someone that you believe will represent you, not just in identifying the issues and identifying the problems, but being able to identify the detailed, extremely detailed. That's what you'll find in our mini manifesto, albeit summarized, still very detailed, as to exactly what they can do to address particular issues. And if it were up to me, I would elect those persons that again represent, that has the solutions, that seem to have the solutions at least, and seem to be dedicated towards making actual changes and not just empty promises. So some of the points you'll see, as what next part I want to get into, some of the points you'll see in our pamphlet, flyer, brochure, mini manifesto, entails, well, of course, we have just down at the end, you'll see general maintenance, and the a lot of, how to put it, major responsibilities, or regular, it's not, that's the better, more, a lot of regular responsibilities under the purview of the councillors. And of course, with those things, the THC intends to do, the candidates running under the THC intend to do a better job than what you've seen before, in terms of things like road improvement services, maintenance of the drains and the waterways, clearance and maintenance in the right time too, not during the rainy season when everything is already done backed up. Being able to deal with proper garbage collection, and in some of the places where we have a lot of foot traffic, in Port of Spain. I mean, we're not going to be involved in Port of Spain, but I'm just saying, have any of you noticed that in Port of Spain we don't have dustbins? When you have your garbage, you have to carry it with you, or put it on the road, and that's not, as littering, that's not really, that's against the law. So, but where are the dustbins? In every major city that I go to, that I travel to, garbage disposal is a big thing. Most of them, you don't even just see dustbins, but you see 3 and 4 and 5 for next to each other for different types of paper, plastic, and aluminums, and different proper recycling. Now, we don't have the facility for the recycling down here yet, so I'm not saying we need to engage into that practice as yet. I would love to get the country involved in that direction, but we would need recycling facilities down here first to be able to process the materials that we're collecting, right? So, but in the meantime, we could increase and make better the garbage collection systems within the electoral district, and especially in those areas like that have heavy foot traffic. Grand Bazaar area down by Bamboo Settlement number 3. Yes, there are a couple, one or two, but there need to be some proper public facilities where the truck passes and picks up the bin and all that from those places that produce a higher level of garbage and other residents, because they are running a number of commercial businesses in one tightly packed spot. So all of these things we look at and make sure aesthetics of the and safety of the public facilities, whatever they be, whether it be along the roadways or the empty properties themselves, all these things, right? So these are regular things that fall under the remit of the councillors, and these are things that we will, of course, be doing, and not in the lackadaisical way we've observed our predecessors to have engaged. We intend to be more dedicated to engage with those projects, as early as possible and as properly as possible. I mean, let me put it this way, right? One of the things that we intend to do for is just one example, of course, right? I could go into all of them if you want. That's what you have the phone number for. One example, like the cleaning of the drains, not the waterways itself, but the drainage itself, under the side of some of the roadways. And so some of those things are extremely difficult to get to in terms of the methodology we use to access them, which is human resource persons, and there are a number of gadgets, machinery, equipment that has been, invented, but it's not like it's invented recently. It's been in use for years in major cities around the world, right? And I think that we can seek to, even at the council level, and even for the those drain areas within our electoral district itself, we could seek to bring down one or two of those machines to make sure that these drains are cleaned and cleared more regularly. In other words, better maintenance. It's not just about doing the job; it's about maintaining the standard at the same time. So it's like going to a chiropractor. You don't go once, you go regularly. So that's one big aspect. And as the last aspect we have on the list. Why last? Because, as I said, it's a regular function of the councillors, and to me, it's expected duties. What we are excited about bringing to the community and to our electoral districts, the first 4 points that we have in our mini manifesto. And those are the points that I expanded on in the interview recently, and which I will now use to. Now, we have discussed it, yes, brought it up over the last 3 meetings last weekend. But as I did say to you, I will be repeating some points for those who haven't joined us before, for the benefit of those who haven't seen our videos before. So do bear with me again. Try to go through it quickly, I think. So we have 4 major points. We have crime reduction. We have transparency in governance. We have food security. And we have job creation. Now, you might say to me, but Marcus, that sounds like stuff you would see in a manifesto for a general election. That sounds like stuff you can only. I apologize for the noise of the washer. That sounds like things that you can only accomplish if you were elected to a position in central government, and even furthermore, you'd have to be probably elected to government, right? Not the opposition or anything less, to be able to effect anything along the lines of crime reduction, transparency in governance, food security, and job creation. But I'm not going to talk about today. I've mentioned it in some of the previous videos. I'm not going to talk about today what we envision in those respects for the country, if and when we contest the next general election, as we have contested, as most of you know, the last 3 general elections consecutively. and we continue to try to make change with within our communities. But we, as far as we can see, we have the ability to affect all of these aspects of the um, of laws, of actions, of activities within our communities itself, within our electoral district, on a much smaller level than what would be affected countrywide. So let's start with crime reduction, because everyone I've spoken to, everyone from friends, family, fellow citizens everywhere, the first point on their mind, first thing out their mouth is, well, what are you going to do about crime? And I do have to remind them, well, again, it's a local government election. We can't fix crime in the country. But here's what we will do if elected to the councillor position in our electoral districts. We will use some of the funding from the corporation. And before I go further at this point, I'll add something that I haven't added in. I can't remember that I've added in the other videos or within the public interviews, that someone said to me in a private conversation when I mentioned this point, that Marcus, the corporations are all already strained. We hear every year in, year out, they don't have enough money and and all these things. So I had to draw the literal example for him, because he asked, he said, well, where's the money going to come from for all these projects that you so innovatively created? Where is the money coming from? And I had to give him the example of, which I'll give you, my electoral district, my corporation, the Tenapuna Piako Regional Corporation, and show him that, first of all, there's 16 council seats within that corporation. Is one of the biggest corporations, and as the biggest corporation, they also receive, a larger ratio or percentage of the budgetary allocations towards corporations, right? Because they have more to take care of. And when you look at it, Tanapuna Piako normally receives in a budgetary allocation, even with supplemental allocation mid-year, right? They normally receive somewhere about 220 to 270 million TT dollars for the year, right? That covers all their costs. That they think that is where they say, well, we're training, we need more, we need a little more. But here's the thing: our current Minister of Finance, in his deliberations and debate in Parliament regarding the property taxes, has stated numerous occasions that the new laws are going to allow for, well, first of all, more management control by the councillors of the resources within the corporation, right? But more importantly, that the property taxes, which I personally, THC personally, does not agree with, at this point in time, just out of a pandemic, still in a bit of an economic struggle. But we can't change the law in, even if elected as a councillor. So in running with it, the residential property taxes from within the corporation is going to go directly to the corporation. And I believe he used the example of Tinapuna, if I'm not mistaken. If not, he referred to the larger corporations would receive this amount, and the roughly this amount, and the smaller corporations should receive roughly this amount. And Tinapuna is likely to receive, Tinapuna Piako Regional Corporation is likely to receive somewhere between 50 million to $65 million from the residential property taxes alone. That represents, 50 million out of the 220 roughly. That represents almost a 25% increase in the allocation, in the amount of money they have to use and to spend. So what we think is that we should be able to utilize from that new allocation that's coming in, right? That new revenue that's coming in, we should be able to use out of that $50 million, nothing from the main core allocations to the budgetary allocations to the council, and be able to cover more than all the projects that we have suggested and which I'll now put forward to you. So that's where the money is coming from. We have 3 points on the reduction of crime within the electoral district. And the biggest point, well, the first thing that we can do is work with the police station. Now, this electoral district, mine, Val St. Joseph, has one police station, the St. Joseph Police Station, which is responsible for the police protective services within that electoral district. All right. Of course, we know the police services, the TTPS, has continuously said for years and years and years they're under resourced, and that's why they can't get some of the equipment and all these things that they need to engage in better policing. All right. So, what we intend to do is work with the police, first point, towards developing more and more dedicated patrol routes, patrol times within the electoral district. Map it out with them, work it out a little bit. This area seems like it needs a few more patrols, more regular. Here might need less. And what we hope to achieve by that is increasing the presence and visibility of the police within the electoral district. And that in itself acting as a deterrent to crime, which has been proven through both practice and research almost everywhere. And then also decreasing the response time of the police to calls, right? Because they may already be on the road close by, not having to leave the station and jump in a vehicle and move. So that may be able to help towards that aspect also. The biggest part of our crime plan, point number 2, is to utilize finances from the corporation, again from the residential property taxes to come in. And remember, I said there's about 50 million to the whole corporation. If you divide that by the 16, right, you get roughly 3, right? So even if we had 3 million per electoral district, think about how we'll use it, right? Cool. So we would like to purchase an operation center. We have the National Operation Center in Port of Spain, at head office there in town, right? And it's well been spoken about, and they monitor, the cameras and the highways and such. Cool. So we want to set up something very much like that, a little operation center at the police station in St. Joseph. We want to purchase for them 4 monitors, 6 monitors, 42-inch monitors, 50-inch, cool, right? 2 laptops to run the system, maybe 4 hard drives, 10 terabyte or so, a lot of space, right? And 100 cameras. Good cameras that could see night, cameras that could take weather, outdoor cameras, all that, cameras that could pan and zoom and all these things, right? So good quality cameras. And we've estimated that if we bought it locally retail, we've estimated that cost to be no more than 200,000 TT dollars. Somewhere there. Usually when you hear about a project like this, usually from all the successive governments in the past, it's usually in the millions. But I don't know why. Elect us into government eventually and we'll find out, right? But in the meantime, we will do the right thing and ensure that we get proper value for money, because it is everyone's money, all the taxpayers' money, including ours, right? That is being used for these things. So we will seek to get the best value for our money from any entity that we'll be purchasing these things from. Of course, they should be, we had the procurement bill discussed yesterday in extraordinary sittings, right? And the day before. And there's a lot to discuss about that, but I ain't going into that aspect yet. You all need to pay attention to what's happening with the laws. They should be, all that contracting should go through, of course, and will go through the office of the procurement regulator, right? Those entities need to be registered properly and all these things. I couldn't believe when the minister said yesterday that out of a few thousand, like 17,000 businesses, or 1,700, let me say 1,700 businesses that do business with the government and supply goods and services to the government, more than half of them won't even register at legal affairs. You know what kind of stuff you need to go through to get a grant from the government? Right? But you telling me that the government is engaging with entities that are not registered, and then you want to know, well, where the money gone? Because if they're not registered, FIB and so won't have any oversight, They have to be registered. So there's a lot to do when it comes to fixing the law in the country. But anyway, back to the point. 100 cameras, I'll remind you. 4 to 6 monitors, 4 10 terabyte hard drives, 2 laptops to run the system, and 100 cameras, right? In this little electoral district of Val St. Joseph. $200,000, no more, probably a little less. And all the station has to do is allow for officers on shift to be able to monitor and engage in the work of the system. So we will work through the commissioner of police, through the supervisors at the station, and get it done for them because they've been asking for it for years. Now, let me put it to you another way. There's only 200,000. What if we wanted 1,000 cameras? Yeah, 1,000. You know that would cost us less than $1 million, TT? Amazing, eh? But all this is what we have the advantage of. We don't respond to any party above us. We are our own party. So we could show the cost exact, all the expenditure, all the receipts, all the everything, and show how much these things actually cost, right? Leading us to be able to question others later as to when you all do projects involving the same type of equipment, how come it costs 100 times more? Are the cameras made of gold? You know what 1,000 cameras will do in a little district like Valsey and St. Joseph? We'd be better than England. There'll be no way you can go without being seen. You know what that would do? That will have the effect of heavily deterring any criminal activity and massively reducing crime within the electoral district. Why? Because now the criminal elements, the actors, right, will know that one, their routes will be captured on camera, two, their vehicles, three, their faces, right? The act of committing the crime, right, or going to or after everything, you're monitoring, and it's all being recorded. So it's a much bigger risk for them to engage in criminal activity in our electoral district. And when we're able to do this, well, before I go to say that point, that's the second point. Monitoring, proper monitoring and supplying. As I just said, less than $1 million, 1,000 cameras in the area. Third point, while we're seeking to enforce proper criminal justice in the sense of ensuring, well, proper policing by the police, ensuring that they have the resources they need and which they've called for so long, right? And working against or working to reduce crime within the electoral district. At the same time, we would also like to, again, utilize the resources of the corporation. And just for St. Joseph Station, there's a few vehicles and a few officers, right? Shifts everything, checking everybody. Purchase for them, because again, they didn't have it because they're under-resourced and underfunded. Purchase for them body cameras and vehicle cameras in excess of what they need. Give them two each, right? So nobody can complain until working. They have all the extra batteries, chargers, everything, right? Now, mind you, all these costs I quoted for you here comes with maintenance contracts, just to let you know. So don't think that, oh, here checking that. That's where the more real money is. No. That's coming with the maintenance contracts, my friends, right? Believe me, right? Things not as expensive as some would have you believe. So that wasn't someone for our chat. Sorry, I apologize. So the consideration is that we would like to do this to restore the at least the public within our electoral district, restore their faith in the police station that serves us, right? Because at that point, you will know for sure. With the addition also of GPS trackers in the vehicles, so the station knows at each time where the vehicle is at all times. That's something that would definitely be able to restore confidence within the police that are responsible for protecting us, i.e. the St. Joseph Station. Right? I'm not saying that we don't trust them now. St. Joseph Station, I can tell you, does a fabulous job now, right? And recently, right? I'm talking about within the last number of years, more than 5 years, right? There were some issues more than 5 years ago with a couple of officers, but everybody in there now is on the up and up, and everything is working well, But for the people who may not have the experiences that I have with the St. Joseph Station, as with the body cameras and the vehicle cameras will come. Yeah. So that's the 3 points we're looking at in policing. And here's the thing, guys. If we're able to do these things at the cost that we're saying we're able to achieve these things at, which is extremely low compared to, as I said, regular contracted costs for these similar types of projects, then we would then be able to pose the question to the other corporations, the other councillors within the corporation, the other corporations, and moreover, central government. Well, if we only spent, and I'll put it to you in this video here, I'll put it to you with the figures. If we only spent $1 million TT, right, and put 1,000 cameras within our electoral district, and there are 141 electoral districts like this around the country, you telling me we can budget $141 million and monitor everywhere and make sure everybody in the country as safe as the people in Valsey and St. Joseph will be if I'm elected? I mean, was 141 million, half of the cost of the flyover, of one flyover, right? Uh, uh, 70 flagpoles and flags. Sorry. um, but you get what I say. That a lot of these costs in government contracts, as you know, people who understand the actual cost know that they're heavily overinflated. And one of the advantages we will have if elected into the councillor position to represent you will be able to show what the actual cost of these things are, right? And maybe hopefully I don't want to use the word force, maybe embarrass, I don't know, but maybe cause those in elected positions to now do the right thing and start achieving better value for the people's money, because now they know somebody behind them and somebody putting out the actual cost, and somebody in an elected position, not just some activist or somebody who has a party and trying, because I did it for years, right? Not to that extent, right? Because I believe an elected position will get me much further, right? I don't believe I know, right? I've had the experience in it. So, these are the things that we think we could look forward to, right? If you guys are interested in casting your vote towards the THC. So those are the aspects we deal with, or we would address in terms of crime and a reduction of crime within the electoral district. Let's discuss transparency. Most of you or some of you would have seen our Facebook ads and Instagram ads. One of the most frequent posts that I'm advertising, or the post that I'm advertising most frequently, sorry, is the post that talks about what we will bring in regards to transparency. And what we intend to bring, again, we're excited for it because no one else, no government in the entire world, as far as we can find through research, has ever committed to do what we're committing to do for you, which is to put every aspect of our job, from the time we go in the morning to the time we finish in the evening, to put it through this same YouTube that we're using now, right? Thank goodness for YouTube, they're positive ways to use these things, and put it to you because, and here's what I talking about: everything, every receipt, every expenditure, every revenue, every project cost, every meeting that we're allowed to. And if we're not allowed to film within the meetings because of the other councillors, we'll give you the minutes of the meetings, better than minutes. I'll give you the seconds of the meeting, right? And let you know exactly what's happening, where, who voting for what. And if we say a man could do a project for 2 million and the other larger number of councillors say they get somebody to do it for 10 million, and you want to know, well, why it's given somebody equally qualified and equally, being able to represent themselves through equipment and experience and all that stuff, why are you giving a man a contract for 8 million more if you have a man willing to do it for 2? We will be able to tell you now. That was what he was lacking, right? He was lacking somebody to tell you, hey, this is what happened at the council, right? A man put in for 2 million, a man put in for 10, but the contract went to the man for 10 for some reason. Where's the value for money? Who getting the contracts and why they paying more if it's the same experience, same qualification, same equipment, same everything? What's going on, right? So now you will have a voice inside, right? Put us in, right? And you will have a voice inside, and you will be able to see everything we see, because we believe that if we are representing you, then you should have the right to see everything we see. There's no issues of national security at the level of the council and the corporation. So there's nothing in there that you all should not be privy to. So this is our commitment to you, right? Again, something that no government in the world has ever done. Transparency on a level like no one has ever seen. You will see everything, right? We will set out our website and post, for those who missed the videos, and post all these receipts and invoices and everything on the site according to project. So instead of telling you a project costs $10 million, that's it. Like what we are accustomed here in this country, we're going to tell you the cost of the hammer, because we want to know that you ain't paying $10,000 for the hammer, right? We want to know that you're paying the same hardware price or less. You're supposed to be getting better value for money when you're issuing contracts for large contracts for large contractors, right? It's not supposed to cost more. We seem to do the reverse thing, right? All the road service equipment we have through the corporations and through the different ministries, right? That over the years had the different responsibilities for it to just keep all the equipment rotting down, right? Because private contractors get the job, and whereas it could cost the corporation $8 million a mile, it's costing the country or more than 80 million a mile, right? Imagine that. We need to do the right thing, and we need to encourage the right thing, and we need to lead by example. So transparency is second point, right? That level never seen before. Food security. I've been hearing about food security from the government and the regional governments and stuff for years. For years. It's not a new topic. It's not a 2020 to 2030 plan. It was a 20 it was a 2010 to 2015 plan to a 2020 plan to a 2025 plan to a 2020. I keep going every 5 years. And we do seem to be moving much forward. I'm very impressed with the country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? They have very good leadership, and they're moving forward, and they're promised very well to achieve food security. St. Vincent already. Guys, St. Vincent is a tiny island compared to us, a little bigger than Tobago, right? And they are the main supplier of all our edus in Trinidad and Tobago, right? I think two to four containers a week from that tiny island, supplying all our edus, because the edus in Trinidad is grow harder or something like that, and they won't soft and nice or whatever it is, right? But they are the major supplier. They are also the planet's, right, largest supplier of arrowroot. All little tiny island like that could become the world's largest supplier of any agricultural product. What they are. Think of what we could do here in Trinidad and Tobago. Under the right management, right? Under the right project management and diversification, we could do so much. We need right leadership, simply. So, food security. How can we affect it at the community level? You're responsible, Marcus. You're not responsible in local government for all the lands in the country. No. But the corporation is responsible for all public lands within the corporation. All public lands within the corporation, effectively by law, belong to the corporation, right? So all those empty properties that you see that the corporation will just normally every so often, sometimes they let it overgrow and get bad until they call, but right, they usually clean it up. Well, instead of just cleaning it up and leaving it empty, we intend to convert all of these empty properties into food production lands. Let's call it that, right? Some of it will be dedicated and designated towards residents within the community who want to establish their own gardens on public lands. That is their thing. We can help them with the seedlings, and you want 10 plot of land planting lettuce, right? You want people to have different things. And we'll also designate a portion of those lands to farmers that are interested in engaging in commercial farming operations, but whom would not have had access to land before. So these guys, they're willing to do the work. They know how they could do the work, right? They're probably working on a lot of other people's land just to pull in some money. And if they had their own piece of land or a piece of land that they could, say they're working on for themselves, they could bring a lot more revenue to themselves. So we intend to utilize it for this, and not just fruits and vegetables. We're talking about animal production too, right? We're talking about, and first of all, everything in these projects and these programs will be cultivated under organic standards. We'll teach it, we'll encourage it, and I can't say the word enforce, but we'll teach it and encourage it, right? And try to ensure that we produce organic crops from these parcels, and also set up a farmers market within the community to be able to have, whether it is the residents and their plots, or we're saying a resident getting a whole plot. We're talking about building your little beds and your little gardens within it. Or whether there's a commercial farmer on a plot, right, that now has produced goods, we'll provide a place for them within the community to sell it, right, and try and produce it for a more reasonable price that you might find it out there, or at least a higher quality and standard as it will be organic, right? And we intend to engage in animal husbandry, egg production, different types of animal production from these places, right? And even just within our community, establish a higher level of food security, right? And show that we try and we will make a difference, right, at that level. So, and plus, it just don't make sense to leave them empty, right? When so many people can use it. And a lot of the other parties have discussed using things like this, public lands to encourage gardening and especially towards getting youths away from criminal activity. And in as much as people that may be engaging in criminal activity may believe that gardening and commercial agriculture activities does not have as much money as illicit criminal activities, I can assure you that's not so. Right? Commercial agriculture activities have a ton of money, but it's also a ton of work, right? And I'm not saying that there will be people that are lazy and don't want to do it. There may be some elements of that, yes. But there may also be the elements of people who, you know, not minded to get down in the dirt and do farming and agriculture, right? And maybe more entrepreneurially minded. So before I go to that point, which is our last point on what we intend to do of our four real innovative ideas, what we think we've never heard before from any prospective or elected representative. Uh, uh, I'll just finish up with food security by letting you know that, you know, we will be able to, one, achieve a number of jobs through the food security programs. Two, bring a lot of revenue to people and back to the corporation, because I'm not saying this money going all to the people. You know, if they're using piece of land, right, and they're making money, they could pay something, right, and it could go back to the corporation and bring revenue into the corporation in excess of what was spent, right? Which means you're operating on positive balances and you're doing good business, right? Which is what governance is, right? Governance is ensuring that you bring in a higher revenue than what you expended, whilst diversifying the economy, whilst ensuring that people have means to provide for themselves, and to ensure that everybody has, should be, to ensure that everybody, all citizens has a higher quality of living, you know, better quality of life, a comfortable quality of life at least, you know. Don't have to fear every day for, you know, crime and violence and all these things, but, you know, can live safely in the country without having to look over their shoulder and without having to wonder if I could go out here and there. You know, so a number of aspects, you know, the health aspects, and so you have, you know, certain predecessors in government or certain past government members. You know, you see these guys, and the politicians normally do use the health centers on it. And that's a shame to me because, you know, if you build it for the people, you should have enough confidence to use it. I know you've heard that point repeated from, you know, everybody from, but I mean, it's a real point. So it makes sense, right? So that's what we're looking at in the food security aspect. And the final point I'll come to is the job creation. And, you know, every 5 years for general elections, you see on people's manifesto. In fact, even on one of the large parties, I won't hold it up for you, but even on one of their advertisements that I'm looking at here, they say, you know, maybe I better do use the exact words because you know who it is, but they talk about jobs and they talk about, well, they say they'll expand the municipal police by creating thousands of jobs that puts police boots on the ground. So basically, their plan is to expand the municipal police by creating jobs in that area and having those people uh, uh, operate like the TTPS. I don't know exactly how that would work in regard to the separation of powers that exist and all that, but why not? It's creating jobs. What will we do? I said earlier just now that, you know, a lot of these agricultural programs that have been put forward have also had the element in it of potentially alluring young people away from crime and into agriculture activities. But I think we as a party consciously understand that not everybody is geared towards the mentality of engaging in agricultural activities. And, you know, there's some people that are a little more entrepreneurially minded, you know. So what we think we can do now, some of these people might be entrepreneurially minded, but they don't have the necessary academic knowledge to do things like create a proper business plan according to what a business plan is supposed to contain. You know, aside from your mission and your vision and your team and your marketing strategy and your expectations, you have to have your financials, right? And your financial expectations for the businesses and so forth. Just like what you need when you go to the bank with a business account, right? To show where the money coming from. You need to show if your business now starting 3 months assumptions and if your business has been operating 3 months past business, right? So these things, we think that if individuals or groups, don't have to be young people, you know, it could be old people too. I think I said young people on TV, so I'm gonna just clarify on these videos, right? It could be anybody of any age, adults, of course, over 18, that have a business idea that they think is feasible and sensible for operation within the electoral district. What we will do for them, what I will do especially as a council, or we as a party, is we will assist them in the development of their business plan and the acquiring of any other documentation they may need for them to be able to apply for government grants and or loans, right? Depending on the collateral, right? Government loans also maybe under our guidance, because most people don't know what programs are available at the central government level, and what grants and all these things. We will make it our business to identify every one of them and keep updating as to when they're available, when they're not, if they're failed, all these little points, and guide these people towards applying for those things. Now, if these people are successful in that, great. If they're not successful in that method, and we still think that their business idea has merit and is something that would be beneficial to the community by having a business like that in the community, then we don't see why we can't set up a program within the corporation where we can finance them under a zero interest loan, so that when they make the money, they're paying it back. So we're losing anything, right? And invest in them. They're talking to the, I mean, it must have a limit. You're not talking to the tunes of tens of millions or anything like that, obviously, because you have those resources. You have to work within what you have and not help, you have to help as many people as you can, right? But we can seek to engage in that type of activity too, in job creation. It's not a free for all, as somebody said, oh, you're going to give away money then. No, 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 no. Your business has to be feasible. They're not going to tell you, open a bicycle shop next to another bicycle shop, right? If you understand, and a number of things along those lines. And we will do a proper feasibility study to determine, how serious your business is, your business idea, how serious you are towards your business idea, and as a individual, whether we think you'll remain committed to this business or if it might it's just an idea. All these things, everything we're looking at, right? And again, once we think the idea has merit and is feasible, we could finance it. I think this should have been done. And all the things that I've just said to you, I think should have been done at the central government level. And they do at some levels. I mean, we have grants, we have loans, and but how many of you know how many grants it have? How many of you know how to access them? Even if you know one grant, how many of you know how to access that one grant? Not the people who've accessed it before, people who's never applied. You know, so, and these things should be more common knowledge. We have the technology now where they can be regularly put forward on the social media sites of the thing. But what I've noticed is that a lot of the times I see grant opportunities appearing on the social media from the various ministries is usually that you have 14 days left to apply, or worse yet, the deadline was 2 days ago, and you now put it up as the poster, but the deadline was 2 days ago. For the life of me, I don't understand that, and I believe it's akin to some level of mismanagement. Something is going wrong within that area, but I'm not one to talk about that. I'm talking about, and you'll find that we don't campaign on any derogatory statements or bringing down any party or individual, right? We're here to tell you what we believe we can do better and how we intend to do those things in detail. That's all we're here about, right? You're never going to see us partying and dancing and whining and putting on the music loud for you. Don't expect, oh, I said I'm coming around to the areas. I'm coming with my megaphone, right? And flyers, no music, no anything like that. Right? I'm not singing. Right? So because governance is not supposed to be about being entertained or entertaining. Governance is supposed to be about serious management of the people's resources, right? And the country's resources, which is the people's resources. And we believe that wholeheartedly. And sometimes we're dismayed at the childishness that takes place in the parliaments, the parliament, and the behavior sometimes that we see in terms of general governance sometimes. And again, I'm not talking about any particular party right now, but we've had successive governance. I've seen it for a decade and change. So I really hope that we could change that, and I really hope that we could start voting people in on issues. So just to round up the points to you, those major 4 points that I laid out for you are the things that we believe are the most innovative. We believe that can be things that can bring the most change within the electoral districts themselves. And most of all, we believe these are the things that we can use to set the example and ask the question to other councillors within the corporation, to other corporations, and most of all, to central government. Why aren't these plans and programs, if they've been shown to be successful and not costly, right, at our level, if we're elected to do it, why can't central government follow that lead, follow those costs, right? Follow the type of procurement to achieve those costs, if you will, right? And you know, make this country a lot safer, a lot healthier. These are the things that we need, right? So allow us, use us. We ask you, use us for the very least, right? Because look, remember, guys, this is not a general election. The government is not going to change no matter who you vote in this local government election. And there's 41 constituencies, and within the 41 constituencies, there are 14 corporations, and within the 14 corporations, there are 141 electoral districts, and therefore 141 seats for councillor position, right? I promise you, casting your vote for a new party, or a party who has not been elected into management before, is definitely not going to undermine any other party, right? It's definitely not going to swing any vote because no government not changing. You all are a lot less risk than in a general election if your belief is we go swing the vote for one of the major parties you did. If that's the belief which I've heard all on the ground for over a decade, right? I don't like it, right? Because to me, the term swing the vote in itself is undemocratic. It invariably leads, right, or inevitably leads to the two-party system and all the pitfalls and downfalls associated with such as shown by both research and practice, right? And we give ourselves, we put ourselves in a position where we believe as people, as intelligent thinking people, that we hire one manager to do the job, and the manager does the job poorly, and we hire a new manager to do the job, and that manager does the job poorly. Instead of looking for new qualified management, we have two major universities in the country and more, right? Instead of looking for qualified management, dedicated people, we go back to manager number one and then back to manager number two. This, like, if we don't understand as people that there, you know, more people that are qualified, are dedicated, willing to represent, putting themselves out for years. Not only us and THC, it's 19 parties contested the 2020 general election. How many of you knew that? I wish the media would carry those things more. They did a little, but not enough. So again, use us, right? At the very least, to send a message to both the government and the opposition that you are willing to put somebody from another party, not theirs, right, into that position if they continue to do the job that they're supposed to do poorly. And you know what, my fellow citizens, right? You know what? Maybe that message will get across to central governance and the opposition, and they will start doing their job a lot better way before the next general election. Because we only see a lot of the actions, right? Look at what's going on now, the calamity in the political atmosphere, right? And we're going to identify which ones you all see in it, right? But it's election time. And we're not engaging in that level of dirty politics, even if it's done to us, right? We will not use an eye for an eye, right, and return it, right? We will use proper conduct, right, ethical, moral, right, and we'll take the higher road, right, because we believe ourselves to be serious about governance, right? We're not here for no joke eating. We're not here. We're heavily against corruption and will make sure and put a stop to it, right? Give us the opportunity. Use us to send that message to central government, and let us all, as the citizenry of this country, benefit, right, from such things, because I guarantee you they'll start doing the job better. They'll realize, oh, the electorate changing their mind, where it's not a two-party system anymore, right? And again, it's no risk to you in this local government election. So I ask you to be fair and listen to all your candidates that are vying for your vote. Listen to what they have to say, and don't just look at the people for the color of the party and the dance and the party of the party. Right? Look for people who not just identifying issues but identifying detailed solutions of how they intend to deal with these issues, and listen for the passion. You know, we're all Trinbagonians, and you who are electors are adults, and sure, some more intelligent than others, but I believe as adults and Trinbagonians especially, all of us have a good level of common sense. You can't tell when somebody mama guy in you. You going and take China, Trinbagonians? Come on. If you can't tell when somebody mama guy in you yet, then I don't know what to tell you. But listen for the passion. Listen for the people who really want to make a difference. People say, oh, they'll change when they get in there and all sorts of things, right? But if you don't give them a chance, how are you going to know? You're going to keep in the same people who you know changed when they got in there already, right? And not doing as good a job as they can do for you, and you're going to keep putting them in the same place. Why? I just, for the life of me, I don't understand it. But we remain undaunted. We're not one of those parties, and none of our candidates have the mentality to do like what we've seen in the past and come out after election when, if we don't get elected, and say, oh, depressed, don't know what to do, I didn't expect this, I'm not doing this again. No, no, no. We remain undaunted. We understand the politics of politics, and we're here to continue trying, and we don't hold back our policies, right? All our policies. Why you think we don't call nobody, we do bad talk nobody and all this? Because we remain on a very good professional level with a number of members of central government and the opposition, because this is what allows us to further the policy. When we see issues with crime and we have solutions, we're not keeping it for the next election that's ours. No, we're sharing it with whoever is in charge. COP, ministers, PM, anybody, everybody, because we want the right thing to happen for our country. We want the best effect for our country. We don't want, you know, we don't want to sit by and think that we have it, and when we get elected we could do it. No, 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 no. It's all about getting the right thing done. I've heard a major party say party over country. I ain't going to call no names because, again, we're not trying to be derogatory, but that statement irked the life out of me. Party over country? What you running for? What you think the job is? The job is service to your fellow countrymen, to manage the resources owned by all citizens of this country as the elected board of directors, elected by your fellow countrymen, your fellow citizens, to manage all our resources. And you get in there and and better job can be done. And there are people willing to do a better job. So please listen to what all your candidates have to say. Please vote on issues this time, and not on affiliation or color or tribal politics or whatever you want to call it. Right? Because remember the past. Think about the future. For those of you that have children, grandchildren, and more, for those of you that have anybody that you care about, look at what's happening to our country. Every single day, someone is losing their life and more. At least one person every single day. And it's random. Yeah, sure. A lot of it happens between gang members and and all that stuff. But when it reaches home invasions and car thefts and hold-ups and all these things in people's businesses, right? And store owners and security guards and customers, right, getting shot and killed, right? And homeowners, and we've seen it's not just poor or rich, it's affecting everybody across the spectrum, from the poorest to the richest, right? And I can't believe that nothing is being done yet. I'm almost dumbfounded when there's such simple solutions, right, to achieve better policing and better security of our citizens in our country, right? Stuff that we've proven before. Again, the heavy visibility and presence that was done during the Summit of Americas, do it again, because we had the resources then and we have more resources now, right? Do it again. What are going to hurt you to run a program like that for 2 weeks? It's just reorganization of your existing resources. No extra money, no extra nothing, right? I don't get it. I don't understand why the writing is not being done, especially when the writing has been put forward. I'm not saying that because we put it forward is the writing. I am, for those of you who don't know, currently a PhD student, a Doctor of Philosophy student, right? Finished the research courses, now just to submit thesis, right, in criminology and public safety at the UTT, right? At least I'm trying to be the leader of the country one day, and the leader of the country usually sits at the head of the National Security Council. Shouldn't that person know a little bit about crime and security and all these things? So all these points that I'm making to you in terms of reduction of crime isn't coming from we think this can work, we think this can work, but it's also coming from a very research perspective. These are all things that are going within my thesis. So I've done the research on the increased presence and visibility on the body cameras, vehicle cameras, and the GPS systems, right, on polygraph systems, which is election time. For the first time, look what you heard. You heard a highest level of member of government come out and say police corrupted and we need to start vetting and all that stuff, whereas they are vetted units. Gentleman also said that politicians should be vetted too. And we've had in the manifesto, our THC manifesto since 2010, the point that all politicians should undergo a polygraph regularly, twice a year, once every 6 months, with specific pertinent questions related to misuse of public office, mismanagement of funds, right, and corruption. Right. We volunteered, and the public. I see another aspiring politician has made the news today that they challenged this gentleman to a polygraph off, I guess, right? They would both take polygraphs. But we've been saying this in the public since 2010. Go see some of the mainstream media videos that we've done interviews on. We've been saying all politicians that we would be the first, all our members are willing to take a polygraph test to show the citizenry that we sincere and true and have not engaged and have no intention of engaging in any level of mismanagement. Anyway, guys, I know we started 5 minutes late, so we still have a few minutes. I don't see any calls or messages this evening, and I know it's Friday evening and probably people out this evening. I do hope that what I've brought forward to you this evening in this meeting is good, edifying information that give you something to think about, that maybe you think that, well, that can't be done. Or maybe you think, hey, why hasn't it been done before? Because this, yes, all this is under the remit of the councillors. They're able to engage in all these programs that we've suggested, right? It's just no one's ever done it. So, and if you think what we say and what we commit ourselves to, I don't like the word promise in political space. That's for relationships, right? What we commit to do, right, for you, all right, and for all of us, is to ensure that all the points we've brought forward to you are enacted, are enforced, right, and we achieve the successes that we believe we can achieve and hope to achieve through these points and through these programs that we will establish if elected. And I mean, as a man do like to beg for your vote, I'm not one of them kind of, vote THC. No. Again, listen to all your candidates, hear what everyone has to say, ask them the tough questions, grill them, right? And if they, we know that is a problem, we go fix it. We go address it. We go, come on, deal with that, don't worry. Come on, the big people know when somebody mama guy and you ask them how, exactly how, what they intend to do, how much you think that project will cost, who will run that project. See who have the solutions, see who have the real ideas, and who's willing to do the right thing, So I'll end today for this evening, right? You give me a chance, I could talk for 3 hours, a lot of people do that. So it's because I'm passionate about what I speak about, and I believe in what I say, because to me it's common sense. To me, all the solutions to fix the problems in the country are very simple, right? And it's beyond my understanding why we have to bring it forward and why these things couldn't have been brought forward a decade ago by all that came before us, because again, they're very simple solutions. But we continue, no matter what, to try to get the right thing done in our beloved country of Trinidad and Tobago. We continue tomorrow evening, same THC time, same THC channel, right? Check us out, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. on the YouTube channel right here. And all these videos are recorded and will be put forward on the Facebook media. So we hope you get a chance to see it. We hope we've, tugged at your mind a little bit and give you something to think about. And we hope to see you very soon in our walkabouts. Everybody have a good night. Stay blessed. And we see you again tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks for your time.